Hi, this is Blake.
Hi, this is Cameron. We welcome you to yet another episode of Trust Talks.
Okay, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of AI. But, and here's the catch, we're not just talking about the cool stuff, the robots, the self-driving cars. We're talking about how to make sure this AI revolution doesn't turn into, well, a robot uprising.
Right. It's like we've been handed the keys to this super-powered sports car, but no one taught us the rules of the road.
Exactly. And that's where AI governance comes in. It's about putting those guardrails in place, setting the rules, and making sure AI is used ethically and responsibly.
It's about making sure that AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
Now, I don't know about you, but all this AI talk can sometimes feel like trying to drink from a fire hose.
It's a lot.
So to help us navigate this complex landscape, we're going deep on two frameworks that are kind of like the rule books for responsible AI. First up, we've got ISO 42001, and then we'll dig into the NIST AI risk management framework.
And these aren't just, dry technical documents. These are the guidelines that are going to shape the future of AI. And believe me, it's happening faster than we realize.
So no pressure, but the insights from this deep dive. Yeah, they might just give you a leg up in understanding where AI is heading, and more importantly, how we can steer it in the right direction. You in?
Let's do this.
Perfect. So let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, or maybe we could say the AI in the room.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just science fiction anymore. It's impacting our lives in very real ways.
Absolutely. And the speed at which AI is evolving, it's mind-blowing, really. But with that incredible potential, and I think we all see that potential, comes a huge responsibility. We need to be talking about the risks, the ethical dilemmas, even the possibility of AI, hallucinating.
Hallucinating. Okay, now you've got my attention.
Right. It's a real thing. Basically, it's when AI systems, particularly these large language models, generate outputs that are factually incorrect or even biased because of the data they were trained on.
So it's like AI having a slip of the digital tongue.
In a way, yes. And those slips can have real-world consequences. Think about financial algorithms making split-second trading decisions or AI-powered diagnostic tools in healthcare.
These aren't just hypothetical scenarios anymore.
Exactly. They're shaping the world around us. And that's where ISO 42001 comes in. Brand new. Just released in December of 2023. Think of it as the ultimate playbook for building responsible AI from the ground up.
And what's really interesting here is that this isn't just for the tech giants or those AI wizards out there coding in their basements. ISO 42001, it's designed for any organization, big or small, even just thinking about using AI.
Which, let's be honest, is pretty much everyone these days.
True. So break it down for us. What makes ISO 42001 so special?
Well, it's not just a checklist, It's about weaving responsible AI into the very culture of an organization. It's like, instead of bolting on safety features as an afterthought, you're designing AI systems with ethics and accountability baked in from the start.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Building it right the first time. But what does that look like in practice? Give the nuts and bolts.
Sure. Well, ISO 42001 covers a lot of ground, from leadership to risk management to transparency. But I think the core idea is that responsibility for AI, it doesn't just fall on the tech team. It needs to be a company-wide initiative with strong leadership commitment from the top down.
Makes sense. So you're saying it's not just about having the right tech, it's about having the right mindset.
Exactly. And that mindset needs to permeate every stage of the AI lifecycle, from development to deployment and beyond. And that's where risk management comes in.
Okay, so if ISO 42001 is our AI management system champion, then maybe NIST AI RMF is like our trusty AI risk assessment sidekick. Would you say that's a fair comparison?
I like that, because that's exactly what it is. It gives you the tools to identify, assess, and most importantly, mitigate risks. It's like having a whole toolkit for dealing with the potential downsides of AI, which, let's be honest, are becoming more apparent every day. And this is especially important in areas like healthcare, where an AI making a mistake, well, that's not just bad data, that's someone's health on the line.
We're talking about AI potentially making life or death decisions. And that makes me think we need to be talking about transparency. But how do you make something as complex as AI, transparent? It's not like we can just pop the hood and peer inside, right?
That's the thing about transparency in AI. It's not about, literally seeing the ones and zeros. It's about clarity, about accountability in how these systems work, how they make decisions. It's about knowing, okay, what data is being used here, how are decisions being made, and what's in place to address any risks, because there are always risks.
So less about the actual code itself and more about understanding the process behind it. Like, okay, maybe I don't speak the language, but I can follow a map.
Exactly. A map, Or you could even think of it like an AI audit trail. And that's where both ISO 42001 and NIST, they really emphasize, okay, documentation, documentation, documentation. You need that clear record of how these systems are developed, how they're tested, how they're deployed, and of course, how they're monitored.
That makes a lot of sense. But transparency in AI, it's not just about the technical stuff, is it? It's also about the who, the humans behind the curtain making the decisions, right?
100%. The who is just as important as the how when we're talking about AI we can trust. So who's developing the tech? Who's deciding how it's used? Do we have diverse perspectives in the room? These are critical questions.
You know, that reminds me, I was reading about a case, it was actually a pretty high-profile one, where the lack of diversity in the development team led to, well, let's just say some serious unintended consequences. So yeah, diversity, having those different voices, it's not just a box to tick, it's essential.
Couldn't agree more. At the end of the day, these frameworks, the ISO, the NIST, they're not about just, checking boxes or sounding smart. It's about giving us, all of us, the power to ask the tough questions. Demand better from the companies, the organizations that are building and using AI, because it's impacting all of us.
It's about shaping the future and hopefully shaping it for the better, right? We want AI that is not just powerful, but responsible, equitable, all those good things.
Exactly. And that's a future we all have a role in building.
Okay, I'm feeling fired up about this.
Okay.
But let's get practical for a second. Say our listeners are ready to roll up their sleeves, dive into these frameworks. What are some key takeaways they should keep in mind?
Great question. First and foremost, AI governance, it's not a one-and-done deal. It's a journey. It's about continually assessing, adapting, improving. You're never really done.
So no one's expecting us to become AI governance gurus overnight.
Not at all. It's about taking those first steps, learning as you go, building that culture of responsibility within your organization. Start small, think big, and don't be afraid to, ask for help, seek out expert guidance. There's some amazing resources out there from ISO, NIST, even industry groups, consultants who specialize in AI governance.
It's good to know there's help out there if you need it. But let's be real. Not everyone is as enthusiastic about AI governance as we are. Some might even see it as a roadblock to innovation, slowing things down. How do you respond to that kind of pushback?
It's a really important point, and it's understandable. Some people see AI governance and they think, uh-oh, more bureaucracy, more red tape. But what we're seeing is that the risks that come with not having these guardrails in place, they far outweigh any perceived, inconveniences.
So you're saying, in the long run, taking those shortcuts with AI could actually be way more costly than doing things right from the get-go.
100%. We've talked about some of the potential consequences already. Think about privacy violations or AI bias creeping into decision-making, even safety concerns. These can lead to, the damage can be huge, reputational damage, lawsuits, customers losing trust. So suddenly, investing in AI governance doesn't look so expensive, does it? It's like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah, it's like you can ignore the foundation, try to build that skyscraper up fast, but eventually, you're going to have some cracks in the walls.
Exactly. And, it's interesting when you think about it from like a business perspective, right? We're still early in this whole AI game. Some companies might think, hey, we can cut some corners here, get ahead, focus on speed over responsibility.
Risky move.
It is. Because consumers, I think they're catching on. They're more aware of, the potential downsides of AI, and they're going to start demanding more. They want to support companies that are doing things right.
So it's not just about avoiding lawsuits and bad press. It's about, like you said, trust.
Right.
Building a brand that people feel good about supporting.
Exactly. And let's be real, more regulations are coming, right? So those companies that have already, embraced AI governance, they're going to be in a much better position when those rules come into play. They're already ahead of the game.
They're already winning the race while everyone else is still, lacing up their shoes.
Love that analogy. And this isn't just about companies, right? It's bigger than that. It's like the decisions we're making now about AI governance, they're going to impact everything. They're shaping the future, literally.
Okay, now you're getting philosophical on me. But yeah, it's about making sure AI is a force for good in the world, not something we end up regretting.
100%. And that's a future, honestly, we all have a responsibility to help create.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, as we start to wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI governance, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Don't be afraid to speak up. Challenge the assumptions, demand transparency, demand better from the companies, the organizations developing this technology, because it impacts all of us. The future isn't, set in stone. It's being written right now, and we all have a hand in writing it.
Now, those are some words to live by. A huge thank you to everyone for joining us for this deep dive into, well, the future. And remember, stay curious, keep asking those tough questions. We'll see you next time.